Out of 100 people, there were about 50 Indians, and out of 50, I think just 13 had job. And I graduated only to step into the worst job market imaginable. There were about 200,000 people who got laid off, and there were about 100,000 students who were looking for jobs since the last 6 months. So
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
wanted to hire first an OPT student, nobody wanted to touch us, and nobody wanted to hire secondly those who cannot join immediately. On the third day of my vacation, I found out that I was getting laid off next week. She told me the team that I was interviewing for, they went with someone else, but there is another team, and for that you need to interview within 40 minutes. Statistically, I applied to over 5,000 jobs, 5,300 to be precise, or more, and I got 26 interviews, which is less than 0.5%. Eight of the out of eight, four of them got H1B sponsored on their zeroth attempt. So
Wow. Yeah. So they before even they graduate, they have their H1B sponsored already. Thank you, Saurabh, for doing this. Really means a lot. I'm excited to share your journey. And first of all, I'm again very grateful that you actually reached out and willing to share this journey. I think it's important that we talk about these stories because people need to hear it, and it's not all glorified version of like life in America versus there's like also hard phases. So thank you again for being here. And before we get started, I would love if you can do like a quick intro. Where are you from, and fun stuff about you.
hello, I'm Saurabh, and I'm currently based in Austin, Texas. I am from New Delhi, India, and I'm a senior data scientist at Domino's. I graduated from UT Austin this last year with a master's degree in business analytics, and there were three tracks. So mine was the machine learning track.
We're gonna do a separate video on just UT Austin and life of a international student at UT Austin, especially because you said that the course is only 10 months long. So I am very curious to know how that went. But today we're gonna talk about like how you made it to the data scientist role, and especially there was also like you went through the whole layoff situation plus the worst time to graduate, which is the recession time. Like it's kind of recession. So let's just start there. Like, I know the story, but like what happened, maybe from the timeline perspective, when did you get the job after you graduated, and then like what happened after the layoff and all of that.
I was gonna graduate in May 2023, so I started with a job search in Feb, somewhere around Feb,
Mm.
and I applied, like kept on applying, but they were like very bleak callback. Like the callbacks were looking really bleak, and we were hoping, as the time goes by in April or in May, we would get a lot of callbacks, but that didn't happen. So I graduated in May, and if you look at my graduation pictures, I look really glum because I didn't have a job in hand.
Mm.
Out of a cohort of 100 people, there were about 50 Indians, and out of 50, I think just 13 had jobs, which
Mm.
weren't as amazing as they wanted to get. Like they just got some job, some kind of a job, in order to sustain in the US. So I
Mm.
graduated in May 2023 last year, and with a master's degree in business analytics from UT Austin, which obviously is a highly coveted school. And it's ranked number three in this particular program in the US after
Wow.
MIT and
Yeah.
UCLA. And I graduated only to step into the worst job market imaginable. There were about 200,000 people who got laid off, and there were
Yeah.
about 100,000 students who were looking for jobs since the last 6 months.
So you're not competing with just those 100,000 people. You're also competing with 200,000 people who actually have been in the industry and have FANG on their resume. I mean, not everyone was in the FANG, but you get the point. Yeah.
US experience matters a lot, and they
Hmm.
had that.
Yeah.
We didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, one of the things that was in their advantage was one like the visa situation. Most of the people who got laid off were either on H1B or
Hmm.
some other kind of visa like L1 or something else, and we were on OPT. Yeah,
Hmm.
we didn't even start OPT yet. Like so
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
wanted to hire first an OPT student, nobody wanted to touch us, and nobody wanted to hire secondly those who cannot join immediately. So those were the
Hmm.
two things which weren't going in our favor as well. Like I found myself constantly applying for jobs to no avail, no callbacks, no interviews, not even a single lead. Things started to look a little positive when we came closer to our graduate, like when we came closer to our OPT date,
Hmm.
which for me was June 13th. like one and a half months after my graduation.
And
I
again, just for clarity for people, so the way this works is you graduate and then you have about 60 days to pick your start date of OPT,
Right,
and which is EAD card. And so in your case, you chose like 45-ish days, sounds like. And so that's when you picked it. And from there, 90 days of unemployment period starts.
right.
So,
So
yeah.
that is
Mm,
also an optimization problem that you need to solve, because you don't want to push it too back. So you like companies won't pick you because they are only picking
you can't
immediate
start.
joiners.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you don't want to push it like have it too early, because what if you get so this thing happened to one a batchmate of mine. He got a job like back in January,
Mm,
and he was to join, like the company wanted him to join as soon as possible. The thing what happened was, as he gave in his OPD date right after the graduation, like a week after the graduation, and the company went under.
yeah.
He had to wait like 2 or 3 weeks before he got any other job offers.
So he
So
had to
yeah,
lose that unemployed days. Yeah.
and the situation gets really tricky. Like if you lose them at the start of your
Mm,
OPT, if you still have some kind of a job experience, or if you have some buffer days to decide like to go back into the job market and search for jobs, then it might work for you. But if you have no idea, all his hopes were hitched onto this one job, so he had to start over again, reach out to his
yeah.
acquaintances and network. But he was able to get like couple offers in 50 in three weeks or so. So kudos to him.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, somehow through all of this mess, in June I was able to land a 6 month contract role, because nobody wanted to hire a recent graduate full time. So I thought, okay, let's take it. It would give me the ability to sustain in the US at least for a couple of months until I find a full time role. So I tried that, and then I went to California to decompress and take a little vacation for a week. And it was just 1.5 months in. On the third day of my vacation, I found out that I was getting laid off next week. I mean, this is what happens in contract roles. They can lay you off, and they don't have to give you any kind of notice.
And let's like double tap onto contract role versus full time role. What, like, yeah, if you were to explain someone, because there's a contract role, then there's a consultant role, and then there is a full time position as a team. Like, if you can explain what is the contract role mean?
So, in a contract role, either the company can hire you as a contractor and give you like a specified pay rate per hour, and they don't give you any benefits. They won't file taxes for you or anything else. You just work for them as a contractor. They don't owe you anything. You won't get any severance or like any benefits. If you get laid off, you can get laid off anytime.
Yeah, you don't get
So,
health insurance, 401k, any of that. But you pick the, I mean, most likely you'll get per hour rate. And sometimes you don't even have the guarantee that you'll get the 40 hours.
I mean, that might work for you, because if you want to like do multiple jobs and say do like 5 hours in this job, spend next 5 hours in other job. But that wasn't the case for me, because in a contract role, you won't get your visa sponsored as well. So that's
Mm,
another, and that's another important thing that for us international students, we need to get our visa sponsored by the company. So you need to have a full time job.
yeah.
Anyhow, yeah. So I was gonna get laid the next week, and I had to rush back home. I didn't know like what to do the next 2.5 months from there. It was a tough period of agonizing unemployment.
Mm, mm,
I had absolutely no money left and had
mm,
to rely on my roommate even for rent. And my
mm.
parents constantly kept urging me to return back to India.
Because they couldn't see you in that state.
You're all alone in the country. I don't have any relatives over here.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people by that time had gotten placed, so they moved to different places. I was still here in Austin, alone, like with my roommate though. But I kept on applying jobs every day, kept on facing rejection, and they were like, you would easily be able to get much better job in India than the US. But
Mm,
yet there was a flicker of hope inside me that kept telling me that you are capable, and all you need is a lucky break. And I
mm.
kept on going, because
Nice.
the thing is, I spent last couple of years building my profile to apply to this school, and I got a loan for like $70,000, not to return back. I need to, pay that off, and there were a lot of things hanging on my shoulder like an
Yeah.
albatross. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but thing is, besides everything else, why I wanted to come to the US is I wanted to prove to myself that I can work anywhere,
Mm,
and I'm good enough to work, stand and work with the giants. So I needed to do this for me. So that kept
mm,
me going, and well, the struggle continued with offers coming in over the next 2.5 months. But the challenge was making sure they materialized. Finally, I by the end of October, I received two offers. One was a contract role with Google, and for a data quality engineering position for the internal LLM, which I am a data scientist, so I can delve back into this topic later on why I didn't choose that. But yeah,
mm,
just an overview. I got a job like role offer from Google, and another was from a startup, which with a much higher pay and in Austin. So
mm,
I joined that, and as soon as I joined the startup, in a week, I got a call from Domino's to
mm,
interview,
mm,
and for the senior data scientist role, which based on my experience would be a great fit for me. And it was in the innovation data science team, which was amazing. They worked on all sorts of cool technologies like chatbots and computer vision and stuff like that. So I really wanted that role,
yeah.
and I gave about three interviews online. They invited me on site, present a case study, and I had four interviews besides that online on site, and I flew back to Austin. Didn't get any answer for about 2 weeks, but the recruiter was really amazing. She kept assuring me that something is gonna it's gonna materialize. Something is gonna happen. We're gonna have an answer for you. Don't lose hope.
Mm.
And 2 weeks in, 2 weeks of agonizing pain and nervousness and anxiety, I she called me back.
And you were still working for the startup, the
Yeah,
startup
yeah.
you had, so you were still working
But
for
the thing
that.
is,
Okay.
the startup was also a contract to hire role.
Mm,
It wasn't a full-time role. So
mm,
by this point, I was already by in the mid of December, and I
mm.
needed that sponsorship, which happens
Oh,
in
for the H-1B. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
H1B. So
Yeah.
I really needed to either convince my startup to sponsor the visa for me or get a full-time position, because you only get three chances. You don't want to waste one of those in the lottery.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. So 2 weeks in, it's been like a month since the process started with Domino's. She told me the team that I was interviewing for, they went with someone else, but there
Mm.
is another team. And for that, you need to interview within 40 minutes. And
Wow.
and because they're gonna leave for Seattle, and they won't be back for another week or so. So I was like, okay, I don't have any choice. I have to interview for them, and I did. The interview went well, and within at the end of the interview, the guy informed me that he's ready to go ahead in the recruitment process. He's going to inform the HR that he's interested to send an offer letter. And yeah,
Mm.
I
And
started the new year with
finally, yeah.
a new job.
Nice, nice. And they are, I'm assuming, doing H-1B now this year?
Yeah, yeah, they will be.
Nice, nice. That is awesome. So Domino's senior data scientist, obviously, like it's one of the big companies. It's in top S&P 500 as well. Uh, do you get free Domino's?
Yeah, that's the one question that I asked the director of my team, and basically what she said was, Domino's is a retail store. It's a franchisee store model. So you'll be taking money from the franchises if they give me free pizza. But since I'm a data scientist, I have access to all the tables. So I have access to all the the promotions table as well. So
Oh, sweet.
some
Nice.
some way I'll make it.
Nice. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna track back a little bit because I think there's so many pieces in there. So from timeline perspective, you graduated May 2023, and then you had this contract to hire, sorry, contract position,
Contract.
which was six months contract. You joined that role, and then within a month, that you were let go from that position, and now you have to find a job at that point of time. You obviously, it took 2.5, so that's roughly June, July-ish, and from there until November you had to find something. So what, and you now have 90 days left, so you had to stop that somehow. What did you do to stop that, or did you use up your entire 90 days until you found the job?
Oh no, you don't want to use your entire 90 days. Um, but yeah, it was tricky since I didn't have enough buffer time to reach out to a lot of people. But what I did was, the first thing right off the bat, I sent an email, like on the very same day that they informed me that I was getting laid off. I sent an email out to a lot of my professors, and luckily one of them replied back
Mm,
that he has an RA position open, but he won't
mm,
be able to pay me anything because I'm not a student anymore. Um, but yeah, it's mine if I wanna work with him on this graph neural networks project. So I took that, and meanwhile, the company that I was working with, they agreed to hire me as an intern, but with zero pay. So I took that as well. So basically, I was working two jobs during that time, with alongside the full time job of sending in job applications day on and night, day and night.
wow, wow, I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but hopefully that those entire experience has kind of made you mentally stronger, and or has broken you. I guess I don't know. But
Yeah. So yeah, I have talked to a lot of people who are in the same situation that I was, and I told them this one thing that my grandpa used to tell me is, when a bird is pushed off the ledge, they can either fall or they can start flying.
yeah, I think you have to remember why you came, and stay focused on that. And like you said, you just need that one lucky break, and hopefully, like hopefully it'll be all worth it. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk in like 1 year or 2 years, and then I'll ask you this same question, like, do you now feel it is all worth it? And maybe your answer will be different, or maybe it'll be same.
Yeah,
But we'll
I
keep.
already feel it's worth it.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. Even though you went through the whole spiel of like the struggle and all of that.
See, the thing, okay, so statistically, I applied to over 5,000 jobs, 5,300 to be precise, or more. And I got,
Wow.
yeah, and I got 26 interviews, which is less than 0.5%, which is half of what it's normally in a
Mm,
decent market. But the thing is, it's a game of large numbers. So the interviews came in later on. In the first, say, 3,000, I didn't get any interviews, like just one or two. The majority, the trick is to keep going. I don't know
yeah.
how to.
How else to put it? Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like I do a lot of like these free calls when people reach out to me, and uh, um, a lot of time it is like, okay, you make changes to your resume, you do some tactical things that, okay, you can do this, change this in your resume, change this in your LinkedIn, change this approach, and so and so. But after at certain point, you have optimized every single thing. It is pure number game. Like you just have to keep applying, because at the end, like it's just there's everything you've done it. So I have to say the same thing to them, is like, just keep going, because you're doing everything right at this point. It's just like, it your time
You
will
just need a
come.
lucky break, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and you just need a few things to align your way. And
yeah,
another reason I want to say, like, I feel like it's worth it is I survived in the worst possible market in 100 years,
yeah,
which has been
yeah,
there in 100 years. So
yeah,
I know that I can, like make it worth it in any other market. I, saw this treacherous terrain, and I completed it, and I got through it. So
yeah,
it
yeah.
gives you a much more comprehensive experience, and that is why I came to the US in the first place,
Mm.
to be self-sufficient. So
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I had this. Again, I think we might be going off topic, but in 2021, I think that that time the market was good. It wasn't as bad. I think people were getting two, three
as
job
bad
offers,
in
or like,
2022. In 2022, there were 450,000 jobs in the market. When I graduated, it was 150,000 with
Yeah,
350,000
right.
people.
Yeah, and in 2021 it was even better. Yeah, so it was like 2021. Like I had 6 job offers when I was switching my job, and I had job offers from bigger companies. So the point, like I'm gonna try to come to the point which I was trying to make is that the reason I chose a startup over like the big FANG companies and is because I was like, if I can like get the FANG companies right now, I'm sure after the startup experience I can also go back. So it's very similar kind of approach that you are like mindset wise, that if you can survive this, I think after this you are only going to go above. And so I'm so glad that you kept going and you didn't give up, and also glad that you're willing to be vulnerable and share this, because I think people only talk about that they got in Google. They don't talk about the struggle behind like 5,300 jobs and 2.5 months of like working 2 jobs and full-time job search and like all of this. Like I don't even know what you were mentally going through. I mean, I kind of have an idea, but it's probably hard. So and I'm sure we'll get into more details of like how you iterated over your resume and all of that. But again, thank you for sharing and being so open to willing to help others.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I reached out to a lot of people on LinkedIn, a lot of, I got responses from less than 1% of them. So, like, if
Mhm.
anyone's in the same situation or if anyone's struggling, they reach out to me. I make sure that even if I have to push back any of my personal tasks, I take time to connect with them, to guide them, or help them in any way I can. So yeah,
Mm,
this is
yeah.
one of the things that get instilled in you if you face this kind of
Yes.
trauma.
Yeah. 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 Almost like PTSD now.
Yes, yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah. All right. Cool. So now, obviously, you went through this whole journey. Now let's track back and figure out like what was your job search strategy. Like what was the thing that you did to get to the place where now you had couple of offers, or at least now you have this offer. So what did you do?
Okay, so the first thing right off the bat is I want to say it's gonna be a hard process. So you need a unified focus, right? And you will be in a pretty bad state mentally uh, through through this process because you'll be facing rejection on a daily, right, from multiple companies. Even
Mm,
today, I get rejection emails. I'm not even looking for jobs. Um, but anyhow, so you have very limited mental capacity, and you need to maximize that for the job search, which is undoubtedly gonna be your number one priority. So you need tunnel vision. For me, I in 2022 in January or like the end of December in the new year, basically, I deleted my Instagram. And the story behind that is Instagram is really addictive, as we all know. And a person
mm,
asked me to open my LinkedIn, and my muscle memory opened Instagram. So I was like, this is high time that I do.
mm. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm
you
luckily I'm not that addicted to Instagram, but I think the byproduct of Instagram is like YouTube Shorts now. So I'm addicted to YouTube Shorts, but it's not as bad as if someone asked me to open something and I'm gonna by default. It's not gotten there yet. So, but it's a good reminder.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. So you need to have those like introspection sessions with yourself. You need to be honest with you, like what's working for you and what's not, and you know yourself that this is the thing that I need to take out of my life, or this is something which is sucking my positive energy. It's messing up my mental capacity, so I need to get rid of it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So one of the mistakes that I made early on was getting advice from seniors, which
Mm,
is controversial in this because they graduated in 2022, right? They all of
mm,
them had 8 to 9 job offers. Most of them got 200,000 plus TC in Austin, where there's no income tax. So
yeah.
which is like 300,000 or more in California. All of my hopes were really high when I came
Mm,
in, and most of
mm,
them, like, it's a 10-month program,
yeah.
and most of them told me like start your job search in January. So companies
Mm,
that came before that, when the recession hadn't hit yet. Um, I didn't even apply for them because those were consulting roles and I wanted a product based role. And by March, I would have taken any role. The situation was
Mm,
that bad.
mm,
So you need to grab any opportunity that you get. You don't
mm,
let the easy ones go away. So a lot of my batchmates, about 8 of them, they got the job offer out of say 30 or 40 people that apply, and that company came to a university, so there wasn't even much competition there. And
mm.
out of eight, 4 of them got H1B sponsored on their zeroth attempt. So
Wow. Yeah. So they before even they graduate, they have their H1B sponsored already. Nice.
right.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to go through any of the job search or anything
Mm,
because they already had jobs. They could just let it slide by. They enjoyed their time the last semester and whatnot, and we were we were
And so the thing that they did differently from you is you were like, I don't want to work in the consulting role or like whatever that those particular companies were doing, because I know that there are better companies going to come after January, and that's what my seniors have told. So I'm going to rely on that. Versus them, they're like, nah, we're just going to grab whatever. But like obviously you didn't know at that point of time.
also like, if I'm being honest with myself, I wasn't ready to start interviewing as well. So that was
Mm,
a easy excuse for me that I'm gonna start applying in January and start my process then after we get a winter break of 1 month and I'm gonna prepare everything. It doesn't happen. You're
mm,
never prepared. You just get apply for jobs, you get the interviews, and in the process you prepare.
yeah,
So I mean, I just want to say, grab any opportunity that you get because it might not come back,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
might be better off it. Like, if you
yeah.
get, what if you get that? I mean, if what if I would have gotten a job in September? I wouldn't have gone through this entire phase of like agonizing 12, 13 months, right?
Mm, mm, yeah,
So yeah, like, don't let any easy opportunities go by.
yeah.
Assess your own situation. Set your expectations straight. Like, if it was, I would have. So one thing that I did wrong as well was I rejected any of the calls from. I didn't even apply to a lot of companies which were offering less than a certain amount that I thought I deserved. What I wanted was, like, my terms were, it should be a product company, and I should be getting this much in base pay, this much in, so like more than two, like close to 200 or something. So which didn't turn out to be the case, and a lot
Yeah.
of people who got laid off from Fang, even they are not getting this kind of money now.
Yeah.
So after a point, you'll start applying to anything that you'll get. But yeah, don't be picky.
Yeah.
Apply to everything and
Mm,
anything that you can. Assess your own situation basically. Regarding the job search, I did everything that can be done, like everything imaginable. I reached out to people. I went to job fairs, um, did a lot of networking, coffee chats, and nothing materialized. Um,
mm,
Nothing materialized because, okay, so I got about 20 referrals from people pretty high up in the hierarchy of a lot of companies. So I got this
mm,
referral from this senior director in Walmart, and
mm,
even then I wasn't able to get an interview call from them. So the
mm.
thing is, no, a lot of people won't vouch for you, and it's not nothing personal because they are not secure in their job right now. So
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
looking out for themselves. So you don't have to hold it against them, but unless the opportunity is in their own team, they won't be able to help you out. So the
Correct.
only
Yeah.
thing, so the only thing that worked for me, and as my friend elegantly put it, is spray and pray. So you apply to a lot of jobs and pray like something turns out, in favor of you.
Wow. Yeah. Obviously, so that was your like. I mean, you've tried pretty much every single possible thing, like networking, referrals, and call application. And one of the things that people really need is like having a solid profile, and because regardless of what strategy you use, you still need to have a profile, your personal brand, and you also need like resume and LinkedIn. We're going to dive into those things. So how did you build your profile for data scientists so that when you applied, when there was someone to vouch for you, they are confident that, yep, this looks good, like we should give him a chance.
So yeah, first thing that I want to mention is, a lot of career advisors in your university or program are gonna tell you like you need a one-page resume. It's because they're outdated with the current market. So in this current, like I used a one-page resume and it got me nothing. I didn't get anywhere with that. So in today's market, what they do is, they get like 1,000 applicants on each job posting. So they use a tool called ATS. In order to clear that, in order to get your resume through that, you need to include as many skills as you can, and for that you need to have more than one pages of the resume. So I made a 1.5 page resume, as you can see.
Mm.
So the first thing, so I was really dicey on whether to include summary or not. So one thing that I did because I was applying to a lot of job, one thing that I did was I ran an A/B test to include whether to decide whether to include this particular section or not. And like summary had uh, a consensus in the in the hypothesis test that I ran. So
Oh wow, interesting. Yeah.
yeah, there were two KPIs that I was measuring. One is how many interview calls am I getting with this particular section included in the resume versus not included. Second KPI was how many hiring manager interviews I'm getting with this particular section versus not with this section. Because
Hmm.
you might be able to pass through the ATS, but there are some sections where after that the hiring manager is gonna browse through your resume, and that is where you'll really find out whether the section is working for me or not.
Hmm. Hmm.
So summary really stood through in the hiring manager round. So in the summary, I have these four pointers for you. First thing is you have to include a basic summary of your profile. Like I have this many years of experience. These are the areas of interest that I've worked in or want to work in. And the for data scientists specifically in this market, so there used to be like the data roles used to have a way like a hard boundary before, like data engineer versus data scientist versus ML ops or machine learning engineer, but those lines are really blurred right now, and people want to hire a person who has all of these three skills in the price of one. So
Yeah.
yeah, so you really need to include at least you need to be thorough with at least one of the cloud services. So these are mostly AWS services that are included.
Hmm.
And then you can add your career highlights, like some amazing project, some amazing revenue that you generated in this particular project, or whatever that you like in your resume during your professional career. And this section is for including the skills specifically from the job description. So you need to so this is going to be a pretty comprehensive resume, but still, if there are some skills that are specific to this particular job, you need to include those to in order to clear the ATS.
Hmm.
And this is what my so this is not that doesn't include my current job, but yeah, this is the last resume that I used.
Hmm.
In the experience, you if it's a less than 6 months of experience, but it's the last one, you can include two pointers or one a big pointer. But if it's a 3 year kind of experience, then you can include at least 6 to 7 you can include 5 to 6 pointers, which show various skills. Yeah. So so one of the things that I recently helped a friend modify their resume because he was entering the job market again. So what he had like he had worked in amazing companies, Amazon, BlackRock, Home Depot, and whatnot. But he had a one-pager resume, and he had included like 2 to 3 pointers per job where he had worked for like more than 3 years. I'm like,
Hmm.
that's not gonna work. That's not gonna showcase the whole picture of what you did over there. So you
Hmm.
need to increase the length of your resume, and you need to include a lot of pointers in the companies that you have worked for over 2 years.
Hmm.
But the US experience matters a lot, so you need to put that on top of everything. So
Yeah.
this is the capstone project that I did, but I included this in resume as well because the US experience matters.
Hmm.
Also, the first couple of projects that you're gonna mention, the most questions in the interview would be through like from those, or they'll ask you like explain to me what kind of project that you did in the last company, or explain any of the projects from your resume. So you need to be really thorough with all of these. So, and most people will ask you to explain a project that you did from end to end, which includes data engineering, feature engineering, modeling, and deployment. And most of the questions are going to be about deployment, so you need to get that down as well.
Mm.
Besides the experience, you don't need to include the coursework, because if you're making a 2.5 pager, most of the things are going to be in your skills section, so you don't need to expand this. And this looks really messy if you include the coursework as well.
Mm.
So I mean, this is the choice that I made. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. Whichever you feel like it brings the best value to your resume, you can do that. And the academic projects, it's it is so I made a note over here. These projects are to include the skills which are all not already displayed in your experience.
Mm. Yeah.
So most of my experience has been either in banking, couple of projects in healthcare, uh, an e-commerce company, recommendation system, stuff like that. So I did not have a project that displayed my skills in computer vision. So this is the first project that I included, which is a computer vision based project. Secondly, I included a project which demonstrated my skills in time series forecasting. And the third project is a recommendation system, because I really like this project, and this is a NLP. So the market demands you to have NLP knowledge because of the LLMs and transformers and whatnot. So this recommendation system is an NLP, like long tail based recommendation system, which I included in my projects because the skill is high in demand, and you can't have enough of it. So yeah, skills for ATS, I included every skill known to man in this section. Even
But the fact that you are able to speak to it,
So yeah, the thing is, you include each and everything, and if they have that, like if you get an interview and they have that skill
then
in
you
your
prepare for it.
yeah
Yeah.
job description, you prepare for it. You have to do everything like to get an interview. So don't feel bad about it. It's
Yeah.
just a skill.
Yeah.
It you can prepare it in half a day or so. You don't want to lose a interview call because of this. So
Mm.
sorry, but not sorry. Yeah, so certifications optional. Yeah, and I had publications as well. You can include any other awards or achievements, whichever you like.
First, thank you again for sharing the resume, because I feel the traditional advice is one page resume, summary is not really needed, and then uh, at least 3 to 5 bullet points is what like given. So I think yours is little different than contrary than to what people say and do, and obviously like you've done A/B testing and you've seen what works and what doesn't work. So I still feel like you obviously have an experience compared to people who might not have an experience, shouldn't go more than a one page, because if you don't have an experience, you're just generating an experience that doesn't make sense. But in your case, obviously you did have an experience. So
Absolutely, yeah. That's a good point. So yeah, if you have more than like 3 years of experience, you can go with this formative resume. But if you have less than 2 years of experience, then maybe stick with the.
no, but this is good. Like, yeah, I'm glad you shared this, and yeah, no, and you also included, like, I like that you included LinkedIn, GitHub, and portfolio. So, what's portfolio like? Is it your data scientist kind of thingy, or what does that portfolio mean?
Yeah, yeah, I'll show you. Let me share my like LinkedIn profile. Okay, one of the things that I want to mention is, and I did this mistake. I know you're gonna be like, so at some point you're gonna be really desperate because your time is running out on you and you don't have enough money to sustain yourself in the US, and you're gonna feel a pretty big urge to post that you're looking for a job and you've been going through this situation, hoping that the LinkedIn community will come together and they'll help you, and they will,
Mm,
but it's not gonna help you much because
mm,
recruiters really don't like
yeah,
recruiters. They because think about it yourself. Like, would you like to hire a candidate who is getting rejected from everywhere?
yeah,
Not no.
no,
Right?
right.
So you always have to like hold your head up high and at least display that you are a high valued candidate who recruiters should want.
Mm,
So you need to have your LinkedIn profile set up that way. It's not
Mm.
much cluttered. I'm not so a lot of job seekers, they fill this space up with a lot of skills and everything. They usually write looking for a or seeking a job in this space, stuff like that. All you want to do is have that open to work tag over here, and that's gonna work for you. And you always need to have this the current job, something in the current job section. You don't want to give the impression that you are laid off and now you're looking for a job. You are looking for a job, sure, but you're still working somewhere. And you have to have the skill section, which is directly from my resume. And I included my GitHub over here, the portfolio, some of the articles that I wrote on Medium. So
Mm.
my portfolio is nothing much, but the simple website that I made for projects and publications and whatnot. Home.
Nice.
So just to display a skill of yours that you can make websites as well, which is not really a lot of effort because I made it through a template that I found on GitHub.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But it does add a tremendous impact in terms of like having it versus not having it. So if I would highly recommend just have it.
right,
It's not a lot of work. Plus, it's just like something more professional than just your LinkedIn.
and this is my GitHub. So you need to like it's not much work making it interactive and stuff like that, like adding these GIFs and all. So you can so people will be really interested in looking at it. So you can copy it from my GitHub. It's an open repository.
Mm,
But yeah, make it beautiful to look at.
yeah.
Besides that, yeah. Meanwhile, while you're looking for job, like job hunting, and in that phase, you can always post stuff on LinkedIn. Like this is one of the articles that I posted for like while I was looking for a job in the banking sector because my EXL experience was majorly in that. So
Mm,
this is one of the pretty erudite concept of banking, which a lot of people won't know unless they've worked in banking. So this post was directed towards people who are hiring for banking roles,
mm.
banking data scientist roles. So you can share this on here, and after this, I think I got an interview from Discover as well. So yeah, this might
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah. And this is what I think a lot of time when people say this, that what do I post? Like, you don't have to become a content creator. You just share you document what you've done in a way where it makes sense for people, hiring managers to like understand what you are doing. So, yeah.
it's not nothing much. There are some projects that some of the certifications that I did, volunteering skills. I added a lot of like LLMs and whatnot. So you also you can what's that batch you can get on LinkedIn. You can take those tests as well, which might help you get some of the interview calls, some of the at least initial coding tests and stuff like that. Like you can give a test for pattern recognition or machine learning or statistics and stuff like that. So I did that for a few. So pass the skill assessment. So at least do that for a couple of skills that are necessary for your job for a data scientist role. It's Python, PySpark, machine learning, Excel, stuff like that, NLP.
Mm,
And recommend you can ask your previous managers for recommendations. So like make a profile that stands out. So I have my publications, and it looks like a profile of someone who has collaborated and a lot, who has done a whole lot in his last year, in his previous like last couple of years, and has collaborated and stuff like that. So have a couple of
mm.
articles, make a GitHub, add it on here, and pin it on the top. Profile like a portfolio, have Medium articles. Uh, you don't have to include your like IELTS or TOEFL score because it gives the impression that English wasn't your native language, which in my case was. So you don't want to include. I got 117 on TOEFL, but I didn't
Mm.
choose to include it on here.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Thanks again for sharing. Now that you've built the profile and you've like built your resume and all of that, we can move on to the next step, which is like obviously after this, you've probably getting the interview calls. And how did you prep for those interviews, and what are the things that you need to do to prepare for like data scientist interview?
Okay, so how to prepare for an interview? Like if you got an interview, like most of the times, a lot of startups or even big tech companies, they'll give you an initial screening round for like a coding test like SQL or Python. So you need to clear that and you need to prepare for that. So in a data scientist or machine learning kind of role, one of the like two of the most important skills are Python and SQL, and specifically in Python, you need to be adept with pandas. And in SQL, you can prepare that from lead code 70 like SQL curated 70 questions. You can master those, and you'll be good for any other interviews. You can practice pandas on lead code as well, which I do even now because it's a good skill to have. And like these will be the languages that you'll be asked in the coding rounds. But besides that, you need to be uh, adept in one of the cloud platforms, and it's good to have Hadoop or like big data kind of handling languages, PySpark, which is the Python version of Spark, which is a better alternative for Hadoop. So if you work in deep learning or LLMs and stuff like that, you need to have some knowledge of PyTorch. You need to be adept with PyTorch, not some knowledge of PyTorch. You need to be
Hmm.
adept to PyTorch. And
Hmm.
I'm assuming you'll be able to learn all of these skills in your curriculum. If not, then you can
Take some
I,
courses and work on
yeah,
the
yeah,
projects. Yeah.
yeah. You can read the documentary. So not documentation. Sorry, you can read the documentation,
Yes. Yeah.
and you'll be
Yeah.
able to master those skills.
Cool. And so now let's talk about the interview process before we talk about how did you prep for it. So what is the typical data science interview process?
Okay, so first thing could be like mostly for me, first round were the coding online coding tests, which included like 5 to 6 questions, 2 or 3 in Python and 2 to 3 in SQL, or entirely a SQL based coding round, which
And
included.
so the you applied for it. If you passed it, the online application for phase one, they will send you like, hey, here's your online assessment. Do this by this date, and then you decide when you want to do it, and then you do it, and then submit it online only.
Exactly, yeah. But I would recommend do it as soon as you get it, because in a day or two, because the applications are gonna pile up for them,
Mm.
and they'll probably go ahead with like the first couple of candidates who cleared this step in the interview process. So first would be a coding test online. Like last year in my scenario, the interviewers, they went crazy. They were sending in like dynamic programming questions as if I'm interviewing for a software role. But yeah, I mean, you don't even do that kind of stuff in your job, so why ask?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
even as a software engineer, you won't do that.
I mean, I was interviewing for product manager, and I was still asked like a system design question, which I'm like, what? Like, doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
But like, I guess the product manager was API focused, so that's why they wanted to see my knowledge on that. But yeah, I get the frustration though.
Yeah, and in companies like Discover and a couple of other companies, you'll also get um, a special reasoning round, like logic reasoning, special reasoning kind of round, which
Mm,
aren't going to be as easy. And in
mm,
one of the interviews, the interviewer shared his screen, and they like asked me live to like solve those special reasoning questions. So I don't know what's the standard process, but anymore. But yeah, the second round, like if you clear the online test, you might be able to pass through for the recruiter call, which is going to be tricky because a lot of the interviews, which I didn't include in the 26 interviews that I got, a lot of the interviews. I mean, there was a phase for a month or so when I was getting like recruiter calls on a daily, but I wasn't able to convert those to the hiring manager rounds because
mm,
recruiter calls, they won't seem like much, but
mm.
those are deciding factors as well. And I talked to
Yeah.
this guy. He was kind of my mentor in this whole job searching process, and he helped me. Yeah, he basically told me like I was giving that energy, made me like which made the recruiter feel like I'm desperate. So if you feel like
Mm,
if you show that, like, if you give that energy, that they won't hire you at all. And they're
mm,
they're pretty adept in sensing that this candidate is desperate and versus who is not.
mm,
So yeah, you have to produce exude confidence.
mm, mm.
Okay,
So
so
go ahead,
after
go ahead.
the recruiter call, you might be able to get to the hiring manager round, which is round number three. And after, like, it's gonna be basically about the role. They're gonna explain you, like, this is what the role looks like, these are the things that you'll be working on. And they might ask you some behavioral questions, but not really. It's
Mm,
mostly about it's mostly an informative round, which is going to be about the role and, like, what are your expectations, what do you want to do, what have you worked on before.
mm,
So yeah,
mm.
after you clear that, there's going to be a tech round. With the first tech round, like, this is going to be a comprehensive process. Not there's not going to be any more rounds in this, so I have included everything in this. There might be lesser rounds, but yeah, this is typically
Yeah,
what it
yeah.
looks like, at least for me.
Mm.
So in the tech round number one, there'll be live coding questions and puzzles. So one of the companies, they asked me, like, one of the puzzles that got asked in Amazon SD, like senior software engineer interview and stuff like that. So you can prepare those things on a lot of forums and Geeks for Geeks and stuff like that. Not Geeks for Geeks, I guess, but a lot of
Lead
forums.
code. Yeah,
Yeah, lead code. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, after the and the live coding will include, like, they'll give you a problem which you might need to solve using SQL or pandas again.
Mm,
So in the live coding round, you need to, they won't ask you to, like, optimize it, because it's not a software engineer interview again, but you need to be adept with pandas and SQL.
mm,
And in SQL, I didn't know that before, and being a data scientist, I should have. There's a I used to, like, solve all these questions using subqueries, but there's a um, another way, like a step-by-step way of solving those, which is called common table expression. You need to use that, which is gonna make every problem much easier.
mm. Okay.
Yeah. Moving on to the fifth round, which is gonna be a tech round number two. It's either gonna be a case study round, and or they might ask you questions on machine learning or statistics and stuff like that. But if it's going to be a case study round, those case study, like, it's an in the name of case study, it's a, like, masquerade for you to apply A/B testing. So it's
Mm,
basically, you want to solve a problem using A/B testing. You want to design like a system design kind of thing, or you want to design a whole experiment. Like, there can be questions about, I want to open a new restaurant in this particular location. So you have to decide what location. You have to decide, like, KPIs. What should be the KPIs if the restaurant is successful or not, and stuff like that. So, or I want to,
mm,
launch a new product. What you should be measuring and stuff like that. So
mm,
it's a typical A/B testing question.
mm.
So after that, after you clear that, there are gonna be one or two behavioral rounds. Where they'll ask you these standard behavioral questions, collaborated with a team and led a team, and how did you manage to solve this particular problem that arose in the workplace. So you are familiar with the STAR technology, and, like, the STAR method, you prepare a couple of questions and solve those using that.
Yeah.
And after that, ting ting ting, you might get an offer.
Nice. Yeah. So it sounds like roughly 6 to 7 rounds and starts with online assessment. And then you pass that recruiter round, HR round, couple of tech rounds, and then behavior round, and then offer round. But then this is like comprehensive, but some companies which are smaller in size probably don't do multiple tech rounds. It's going to be maybe just one round, and then behavior and HR hiring manager round might be together too. So I've seen combination of that. So but yeah, this is like obviously if you can prepare for all of this, then you are like good, and hopefully you do have an offer at the end. So yeah.
And the thing is, even with an offer, you're not guaranteed that you're gonna join the job. They might rescind it.
Mm.
So you
Yes,
need to have
yeah,
multiple offers.
yeah, yeah, yeah. hopefully, I mean, that is this market, but who knows how things changes. Talking about offers, like, let's talk about the salary range. Like, how much money do data scientists really make? I think you kind of threw out some numbers already,
Yeah,
but like, what is the typical range, especially like, data scientists? Is it different for data analyst and all of that?
yeah, yeah. So it's gonna be like for 3 to 4 years of experience and in Austin without stop. Like, let's talk about the base. The base is gonna be somewhere in the range of 120 to 170 for 4 to 5 years.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm including the
Mm.
big tech as well. So
Nice.
usually, like so the big tech is gonna be long tail. So the median is gonna be 130, 135, 140 in that range.
Yeah, and that's you're talking Austin price. Obviously, Bay Area, almost 200 ish is what I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So,
yeah.
yeah, well, less could be less. Now in this market, it's lesser.
Oh, is it? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but yeah,
Yeah,
big
I was
companies.
talking to a software engineer just last week, and she got in Google, um, 300K. But and Mountain View. So, but it's software engineer, not data scientist. So maybe that's the difference, though.
So that 300K, out of like the 300K, 100K is gonna be in stocks. 20, 30K is gonna be in joining bonus, and the base is gonna boil down to 160, 170 again. And in California, it's not much.
True. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, and especially like Austin, you'll like not pay state tax, which is 8% or so. Eight. Yeah, on a fund you'll save like 8%. So, which is huge. Which is huge.
It's
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like the big tech and data science, it's gonna offer you 300 to 400K
Mm. Mm.
anywhere. Like big tech,
Yeah.
I'm talking about. Like
Yeah.
I'm also including companies like Atlassian. Like I had an interview with Atlassian. They were offering a 250K base, and but they want
250K base.
in California.
Wow. Oh,
They
California. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they wanted H1B candidates. So
Mm. Mm.
yeah,
Wow, I need to ask my boss to raise my money. Just kidding.
yeah.
uh, but that's
So
good.
yeah, yeah. I mean, anywhere from the like anywhere if you have 4 to 5 years of experience, anywhere from 120 to 170 in base, and Austin is really good. Like not 120, like the upper end of that is really good, and
Yeah,
you might be able to negotiate some stock options. So it's gonna inflate it to 250 plus. So
yeah, 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 yeah. And I think the starting range or the people who just graduate without experience would be like I would guess. My guess is like 90ish,
in data
75.
scientist, you'll get more. You'll get 110 to 130
Mm, okay,
with 0 years
interesting.
of experience.
Yeah, and you're talking base salary, not
Basically.
total
And
comp.
but thing is, you won't be hired as a data scientist with 0 years of experience. So in
That's
this
true.
market,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In this market, yeah, that's true. That's true. Um, I do want to touch on like the thing that you mentioned in the very beginning is you had offer from Google. Obviously, it was a contract offer, but you didn't choose that. Uh, Obviously, people would be like, "You must be crazy to not choose Google." But what was your reason to not choose Google? Like, why did you decide that?
okay. So the Google offer was a contract-based position, not a contract to hire. The other offer
Mm,
that I had was a contract to hire. So usually that's a trend with startups in this kind of market. They want to test you for a couple of months before hiring you.
mm,
To safeguard their own assets. So
mm,
I obviously wanted a sponsorship down the line, and Google offer was it was lesser than a startup offer, which was a lot
like
for
money
Austin.
wise.
Yeah,
Mm,
for Austin it was a lot, and
mm,
also there was a possibility of me getting a sponsorship with a startup because the owner, like the CEO of the startup, was from my school. That's how he
mm,
reached out to me, and I had a talk with him. He said like we need to get ahead of these things as soon as possible. So I was hoping that I'm gonna get a sponsorship, and besides that, the Google offer was they wanted me to sign a like a contract, and where I could not leave before a specified amount of time. So I
Hmm.
didn't really want to
Oh,
join.
it was not at will. That's interesting.
So
Hmm.
couple of months, like I needed to stay there for like 4 months or so before I could, you know.
Okay, before you could quit. Okay, interesting. Okay, got it. So that makes sense why you went over there. Okay, nice. I know we touched on a lot of topics. What, like, now that you've gone through this whole process of like almost 1 year of like intense job search and trauma and all of that, what advice would you give to like aspiring job seekers and international students who are, planning to come or looking for a job, etc.?
Yeah. So I just want to tell like all of them that I know the situation is tough, but that I promise you that you'll have a much more comprehensive experience than anyone who hasn't gone through this phase like I did. And it's, I mean, at the end of the tunnel, the offer is waiting for you. So just don't
Mm,
give up. So
mm,
it's nothing to do with you. You are well adept in your skills, and you deserve it. And you got to the US, you got an admit, you graduated, which is not a small deal.
no,
So
it's not.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you definitely are capable, and it's not a question of if, but it's a question of when,
Man.
and it's
Mm,
bound to happen. US is a
mm.
land of opportunities, and you won't go empty-handed.
Yeah,
I
just
promise.
don't give up. Yeah.
So yeah, just don't give up, and if there is nothing to do, just grind on lead code and keep upskilling. Post about these things on LinkedIn, which is going to give you traction and which is going to help you with networking, which might pinpoint your profile to certain recruiters who are looking for those exact skills. It's not a question of if, but a question of when. It's bound to happen. US is a land of opportunities, and you won't go empty-handed. I promise you that.
Again, this is I love that, and I can't wait to have you back because there's so much more to explore in you, which is UT Austin, the 10 months master program. Obviously we didn't deep dive into the technical aspects of data science, which I think we should cover in the separate video. But again, thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your journey with me. I can't wait to bring you back again. Until our next one.
Keep smiling and keep hustling.